Thanks for tuning in today, everybody, to the Locker Room. I'm Alan Locker, and I know that many of you Guiding Light fans have been asking for my next guests to join me on this show. These five talented actors have brought some of our favorite Guiding Light characters to life, and I'm thrilled to have my friends here today. So let's get started. We have Philip and Beth today, Dr. Rick and Mel, and the one and only Lillian Rains. Tina!
Hi.
Tina
Hi,
Slaughter,
hi,
everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Ivana Kopach Wright, everybody. Grant Alexander and Dr. Rick himself. Michael O'Leary, everybody. There's Beth. Sorry, Michael.
Beth, you turned
Here's
around,
Michael.
sweetheart.
Beth, you need to turn your.
I turned around.
Just one.
You're turned around.
Just turn it to the right.
How do I do that?
Your
Your
iPad.
device.
Oh, flip.
Flip your. Up.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you go.
Hey, thanks for doing this, everybody. Oh, Beth, you got to still keep going.
Keep going 2 times around, Beth.
I'm actually hoping Peter's coming here with our tripod, which I'm going to have him use because, as I told you, I'm trying to upload my reel for something on the laptop. So I'm
Beth,
using my phone, and my arms are just not
Turn
long
yourself
enough or
2 more
strong
times.
enough.
Never
to hold
change.
it.
Now you're upside down.
Beth, you just need to turn it 2 more times around.
That a
What do you
girl.
mean? Here?
Yep, keep going,
Yep.
keep going,
One more.
keep going.
Yay!
There you are. There you go.
Whoops, except mine.
Beautiful.
Okay.
How's everybody doing? Thanks for doing this today.
Well, we had so much else to do.
I have to tell you, I'm out. I'm out straight. When you have to take your business online, my life is crazy right now.
Yeah. How's everybody dealing? How's everybody's families? Is everybody safe and healthy?
Yes.
Isolated.
Yes, we're doing well over here at the Wright House.
Grant, that's some good lighting you have on you there.
What do we got going?
Yes,
It's
it
a little
does. I
bright,
need-
isn't
I
it?
need
Hold on, let
light.
me close the shutter.
Put some light on me.
That was like Grant, that was like Dark Shadows or something, you know.
Hey guys, Mimi Torchin says hello to you all. Great to see you, my friends.
Oh, hi, Mimi.
Michael O'Leary, you're on mute, sweetheart.
We're really good at this.
I know we're
There you go.
we're a great group. There you go, Mikey.
Okay.
There you go.
Is that a creepy picture of Grant in the background? You notice that?
That looks
This is
like a
just like
picture
starting
of
a
Philip
scene.
Spaulding in the background. It looks like a picture of Philip Spaulding
That's
from the
pretty
Spaulding
creepy.
house.
Pretty
Yeah, it does.
Small. Here, we'll bring it in.
I don't know. That was bizarre. When I flipped the around, it totally changed the orientation of the light. That was kind of weird.
We're getting off to a great start.
Yeah, don't worry. Hey,
It's
Grant,
sort of
is that
like
a
how we
picture
did
of
the scene
Philip
together,
Spaulding?
isn't it?
Huh?
It's like we did Mikey's play together. Not quite sure where we should be.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out.
Grant, we were asking about the painting behind you. Picture.
Oh, that was done right after we got married. We had a friend of the family that was an artist, and it was like one of those things. Growing up, we just always had portraits hanging around. And he did a portrait of Sharon, a portrait of me in our wedding, her in her wedding dress, and me in my tux when we got married.
Oh,
Where's
that's
she?
great.
She's upstairs doing. I'm not sure what she's doing. She might actually be organizing something, which I don't want to disturb.
We got a hello from Italy. People who watch Sentieri.
Oh,
Yeah,
ciao.
Theory.
Ciao, 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 Italia.
Ciao, ciao.
Bella. That was a great trip, Grant. Wasn't it 88 we went
88,
to?
May of
Yeah.
'88. That was an all-time showstopper.
It was what was it? Telegato, right? Telegato?
Yes, I actually just found my Telegato the other day, and I have burnished it up a bit. It's quite an impressive award.
Oh, what is a telegato?
We got it from the station over there that ran Guiding Light was called Canale Cinque, Channel 6, and
No,
back when they didn't make their own TV, and the show was such a huge deal, they brought.
Did we all go very dark?
Say again.
Nope.
Okay. Sorry, Grant.
No, I don't know if you were interjecting. Yeah, so they brought us over in May of '88 to receive this award, and they gave us carte blanche I think all we could get off from the show at the time was 10 days. So we flew into Milan, stayed a night or two at Villa d'Este, and then we went to Florence and then on to Rome. We had a fantastic time.
We went to the Villa d'Este at Lake Como,
Yeah.
and we sat out there by this beautiful lake, and the bill came, and we were still not sure if we had to pay for anything. The bill came. Breakfast was like $300 or something. And Grant and I are looking at each other. We got our credit cards out, and then the waiter says, "No, Felipe Ricardo, you pay nothing for nothing." And that was the theme of the whole trip. You pay nothing for nothing. And so for 10 days, as long as we ate at the hotel, it was for free.
Yeah, it was great.
Paid nothing for nothing.
We paid nothing for nothing.
We gotta say, if Guiding Light had to air in one country, that's a pretty darn good country to air in.
And that
Oh,
poor
yeah.
country right now. We pray for
Yeah.
you all in Italy.
Yeah. Thank you.
I might have just heard that they are releasing, allowing people to start. Some businesses might start opening in Italy.
Really?
Oh,
Literally, I think that was just on the news a little while ago. So fingers crossed for that. Fingers crossed.
yeah.
What have you all been doing to keep busy? I know, Beth, you're doing your online training. Are you watching any great TV, reading any great books? Tina's book?
Yes, of course.
Thank you, Betsy. We're hoping it's going to be a
I've
movie and she
been,
can be in it.
doing, like they said, changing everything on my business to being a remote business has been really insane, and a lot of steps to it, because we're doing live stream as well as recorded workouts. We've been lending out equipment to people. So it's literally been 4 weeks where it's been craziness. And I have a 14-year-old son who has gone to homeschooling, and it's gotten more organized this week. But in the first couple of weeks or so, a lot of teachers, various abilities with the technology. So you'd have to find homework. And as I say, it's like, if I tell my 14-year-old son to go up and get his sneakers in his closet, he can't find them. So asking him to find his homework was like not happening. So it was kind of a lot of hands-on work until this last week with that as well.
Tina, what have you been doing?
I've been writing a sequel to Chasing Cleopatra because it ended with this. Thank you, Mikey. It ended with, I've been walking 15,000 steps a day, which has not been easy, but I've really made myself do it to keep mentally all right. And Steve and I talk to the kids every night. We play charades or something on FaceTime. Rennie has a 2 and 5-year-old in quarantine, all of them all in the house, isolating. So it's not been and it's not a big house. It's a little townhouse, So that's been interesting, 2 and 5. But my sequel is all taking place in St. Moritz. Oh, Steve wanted me to tell Grant and Mikey that he's playing golf every day.
Of course.
Yep, just bury the dagger.
But my sequel is taking place in St. Moritz. It's 90 degrees here, but I have a whiteout in a snowstorm on the mountain while I'm writing. So that makes me cool.
Wow.
And Ivana?
Oh my goodness. Like Beth, with my own business with Lomar Farms, it's been really busy. So I've been making a ton of candles and selling, the honey and the beeswax candles. So thankfully that hasn't slowed down. It's actually been a lot more. And then the kids, my daughters are 16 and 17. So they're pretty much on their own with their homework, thankfully. But I'm also dealing with a graduating senior who is heartbroken about missing her prom and missing her graduation. And I just have to we all have to keep moving and keep busy. So we're going out on walks a lot. We're working out a lot. Like all of us are pretty physical. So if we stop being physical, it's like when we all start to break down. So we're keeping busy in that way. And then my husband, Brett Wright, is also thankfully like doing his own cooking show. And it's on Instagram. Brett Wright is his name. It's called Gotta Eat. And so literally every day he cooks. And
Fabulous.
so we get amazing, delicious meals every day, and we get to know his secret because he's an amazing chef, but he used to cook and be like, I'm like, oh, this is delicious. What's in here? And he would not really tell me. He would just like tell me a little bit. But now we have like all of his recipes, and so it's really great.
Can you live a little dish at the bottom of your driveway?
Absolutely. Come on by.
I
And
unfortunately, for some reason, can't hear Ivana at all. I can hear everybody else, but I don't know why I can't hear
Can
you.
everybody else hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
I can, yeah.
I
must
can't.
be some. Sorry, Beth.
Yeah, I can see your
what-
lips moving.
I love you, Beth. Damn.
She said, "I love you, Beth." Mikey.
Yeah, I've been, doing tutorials with actors. Actually, I've been doing it in person. I started actually when we did the play 4 years ago. I started working with young actors, teaching them the method, but also being a mentor with them and guiding them through their career. And now I've taken it all online, and it's really taking off, and I really enjoy it. The other thing I've been working too is, here I am 4 years later, and I'm still working with Larry Moss on the play. So he's, during this time, he's got some time. So I work with him 1 hour every day. We just did a reading at the Mary Rogers Room in New York in February. So, but like everybody else, this is a shock to everybody, and just trying to stay busy and get outside and ride my bike. My fiance and I ride our bike into town. I'm by I moved down to the Jersey Shore a couple of years ago. So, just trying to get used to the new normal like everybody else.
Speaking of the Jersey Shore, Bruce has a concert on Wednesday night, I think. Springsteen. Springsteen is doing a charity, I think, concert on TV. Grant, and yourself?
Sharon and I were taking inspiration from Tina and finally finishing this book we've been working on for a long time.
Oh, that's great.
It's about our story of our life together and all the animals that we have rescued that have come into our life and how they led us in different directions. And we've actually got it done, working on the final edit of it, and hopefully get it off to a publisher and get it going. And
Did
of
you
course,
get
we've
the
been
agents I
still
gave you?
unboxing. We sold our house in Jersey in October, and we're still getting out of some boxes in some rooms. So just a lot of organizing, a lot of straightening, but a lot of creative stuff, which has been great.
I've read a lot of that book, and it's really, really good.
The book sounds great. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Come from you.
Hey, Grant, we had a question for you. Do you remember your first scene on Guiding Light?
Do I remember mine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in December of '82. I think I started, and my first day couldn't have been any easier. All I had to do was walk into the Spalding Mansion, which was closed up. It had drop cloths over all the furniture and darkened rooms. I walked over and sat down on the sofa and said, "Welcome home, Philip."
That's good. Somebody thought it was you in a towel.
No. In a towel.
One of the fans thought you walked in a towel, they said. I couldn't remember if that was true. That's why I put you on the spot.
Much later.
Jill Laurie says hello to everybody.
Love you, Jill.
Yeah, miss
Do
you.
you all remember your first day? Tina,
Oh, yeah.
Ivana, Beth, Mikey?
Yeah, I think my first day was with Grant, and I walked in, and it's now playing the role of Rick Bauer, Michael O'Leary. I walked in, and he's cooking eggs on a frying pan, and we're just sitting there, and it was about nothing, as sometimes these scenes were, but Grant welcomed me with open arms. He took a little while. It took about a week to get used to me because I replaced a good friend, a great guy, Phil McGregor, but it was just wonderful. I mean, everybody welcomed me with open arms, and my first day was with Grant, and I was an orderly on a Friday, and then I was a brain surgeon on Monday.
And you were
That's
very
kind-
successful. I remember how successful
Yeah.
you killed
That's
it.
kind of like what you just said to Ivana. Wasn't she a doctor and then she was chief of staff the next
She was,
day?
you were my, yeah, you worked for me on Friday and then you were my boss on Monday. So
Yeah, chief of staff on Monday, and then I was a lawyer and a doctor like a few weeks after that.
why do you think I got married to you? You were like-
Exactly. Exactly. And why we did not have a prenup, right?
exactly.
Tina, do
Actually,
you remember your
it's
first?
funny.
I walked into the
Oh.
hospital to see my daughter Beth, who'd been beaten up by Bradley. It was not my Beth Chamberlain, but Judy Evans, and there she was lying in a hospital bed, and I think Grant was in the room too. Were you visiting Beth, the first Beth?
Yeah,
Judy.
possibly. That sounds familiar, Teeny.
Yeah, I think so.
Beth, do you remember yours?
Yeah, because it's another good Bruce Barry story, which is the entire cast who I had not met was doing a big party scene. And in the middle of the party scene, he made me stand in the middle of all these people I didn't know and do a big long voiceover. That I was just the mic there, which was like, I don't know these people. I'm doing a voiceover yet. It was really uncomfortable.
And 5, 4, 3.
You're
Beth,
on.
your first day, Beth, was when you weren't Beth. I was looking at the lake for the drowned Beth.
Oh my gosh, Tina, you're right. It was
right.
a very strange story. I was cast to be someone that Lillian thought was Beth, but I was not. We were shooting someplace in upstate New York or New Jersey at a lake, and that was when Judy Evans had just left the show. It was kind of a strange thing that I met Tina and I met Rennie that day. We spent the whole day together. And but I was not Beth, and then I don't know how many years later I was subsequently cast as Beth. Just strange.
Yvonne, I'll come to you in 1 minute, but I have to laugh. Mimi Torchin just wrote, I always say I'm getting a medic alert bracelet that says keep Dr. Rick Bauer away from me at all costs. I think we all agree to that one.
That's exactly right. 47
Dr. Death.
bodies later.
Killer dog.
47. I killed 47.
Oh, that's all.
Killed
it.
me twice.
I did.
And remember the
Ivana,
time
do you
we did
remember
the
yours?
operation when
I don't actually remember my very first scene. I mean, I know that I think my scene was with you, Michael, and I met you and like was love at first sight. And then I was talking to my brother, Remy, on the show, the first Remy, and we were in what was our restaurant called?
A company.
Company?
Company, right? We're in company in a booth, and I was talking to him about you, and he was just like, "Isn't he too old? Isn't he too white?" And I'm like, "I really like him." So,
Too white, too old. All true.
Doesn't Beth's kitchen sort of look like company behind her? It kind of does.
Looks like you're on set, Beth.
We had a question for Beth and Grant about and Tina. What was it like working with young Hayden and Brittany Snow?
Awful. Couple
They
of
were
rotten
wonderful.
kids. No, they were both wonderful. I mean, we couldn't have gotten any luckier. Right? Sometimes it just happens that way. You know, Hayden loved being there. You know, most kids that young, you know, it's sometimes they get pushed pressed into service, and they're very uncomfortable. But man, Hayden adored it, and Hayden would direct the scenes. She was Brittany was wonderful too. Brittany was great too.
I mean, I remember with Hayden that we were doing very complicated story there with who killed
Who
Carl.
murdered him?
Thing.
Yeah, Carl.
And we had this really complicated scene where we were all in it in the Spalding living room. And as would often happen between dress rehearsal and tape, they had decided to cut a whole bunch of stuff. So when they do that, you know, you have to think about, okay, how does this change my blocking and make sure you're still going to be in the right place and what have you. And Hayden was looking around, not paying attention. And I'm thinking, oh God, what's going to happen? And because there were parts of her lines that were cut and everything, she got it exactly right. I mean, she was good. She was great.
Still is. I love this question that Lori asked. What exactly did Spalding Corporation do?
Didn't I think Peter Simon said we made slip covers or something?
No one knows.
I think it was like a Bernie Madoff thing. It was probably just some big pyramid scheme.
It's a great question. Somebody wrote, Beth, you're the only Beth to me.
Oh.
Thank you.
Rick Bauer might be one of the most ridiculous doctors in soaps.
We did.
We did?
Ridiculous.
Oh, Dick.
Ridiculous, you
Oh,
know. He's
ridiculous. Oh,
47
Well, he
people.
went to school for a week or a month and came back.
no, it was Friday. It was 3 days. I was a doctor. 3 days.
Okay, no. 3 days. I thought it was a little longer.
No.
One time we had a little baby. Remember, we practiced that with Bruce Berry for about a month. It was when ER was popular, and we had all those huge words to learn, and neither of us could learn them.
It was
And I asked
all
for a
on my
spatula.
clipboard. I read it all on my clipboard. Yeah.
Those
Wrote
were the
everything on my
hardest
clipboard.
scenes when we just had to like act like we knew what we were doing and spewing off all those medical terms and it,
Words.
Tina, were you there when I said VCR stat instead of
That was
CPR
that
stat?
was a good one.
Yeah, I was going,
I kept
PFAB, crash cart, VCR stat. and then I grabbed her somebody said, Mikey, I think you said VCR stat. And I said, and Bruce goes, no, we're good. We're good.
yeah, and it aired the next week and we're all
Yeah.
good.
I think
Or you
you
walk
told
in-
one pregnant
into a
lady
room
she was going
with
to
a
have
sweater
to have
and a
C-SPAN.
dress on, and you'd walk out in your nurse's uniform.
What was it, Grant? I did what?
Different day.
I'm pretty sure that you told one pregnant lady in labor that she was going to have a C-SPAN.
I did.
I C-SPAN.
I did. Yeah. I did say C-SPAN. I did say that. I did say
Ivana,
that.
what?
Yeah.
Ivana, and do you play a doctor as well on Law and Order SVU?
Yep.
What is it? They
doc-
see Ivana and they see doctor.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I got stuck in a trap of knowing like how to do it because it's really it isn't easy. And even with the lines, like I may only have, one scene, but I repeat that scene, especially now that I'm older, like 10 times a day while I'm learning it because it still doesn't make sense to me. Like no matter what, it's so much easier to, have a scene where you're just connecting emotionally or whatever. But I guess I know how to do it. I had enough practice. So yeah, still doing it on Law and Order.
You learn from Dr. Rick.
I did. I learned from the best.
Grant, you and Mikey had probably the busiest dressing room at Guiding Light, I'd say. Any stories that we can
Tellable?
share that are tellable that we can share and talk about being dressing room buddies?
Oh,
Well, we got lucky, from the beginning. Mikey and I just, we hit it off, and we were great friends. We're a little different in that I'm basically, as we've often said, I'm Felix Unger and he's Oscar Madison. So there was from time to time a little tension about the straightening of the dressing room and keeping things in some sense of order. But we had a great time. We would typically, if we had big party scenes and we didn't have anything to do except to come in and say, oh, gee, have you seen Mindy? If it was one of those days, we'd have gatherings in the dressing room and fully catered events for anybody in the cast that didn't have a whole lot of work to do. And they were a lot of fun.
we changed the dressing room. Tell the story about Chez Philippe.
Oh yeah. So anyway, it became sort of a popular spot, and the guys in the prop room, because it wasn't just actors, it was everybody. It was guys on the crew, hair and makeup, and everybody was welcome as long as they could get their work done, and because there were beverages, but they decided that I needed a sign, so they made me a sign that they put up above my door. It said Chez Philippe. And when the light was on, it meant the club was open.
That's awesome. Do the ladies have any fun stories from that?
Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
that they remember?
No, there are more stories that I can't tell because I would have to tell about somebody else, another actor who was down there, got really drunk and then went and did a scene and fell over.
Couldn't remember their
But
line
I can't-
or couldn't
I
say
don't want to
their
share
line.
those names, but you know, we all had a fair amount down there. Those were definitely, it was a fun, very unique time.
That's great. Tell me, it's been basically 11 years since Guiding Light ended. What would you say is the best thing that's happened in those 11 for you, for each of you?
For
Yeah.
me personally, two things is, one is that when I was on the show, I didn't get to spend as much time with my son. And so then suddenly I got to spend a lot more time with him, and I'm very grateful for that time. And the other thing is the business that I started, because we have, through this business, Nyack Boot Camp, we have come to know some amazing, amazing people in our community. We feel so blessed that we know these people, we're friends with these people. As an example of how great these people are, when with recent events, they knew that some of our people would not be able to continue. Some of our boot campers knew that others would not be able to continue because of finances. So people got together and created a boot camp fund for some of these people that had been with us, that they would still be able to continue. We would still have money coming in. So I feel just really blessed with the people that I've met through this business I started.
That's great. Tina?
Well, I mean, I wrote a play called Changing Shoes that went all over the country. And I wrote a book called Changing Shoes. And then I did Chasing Cleopatra. Hold that up. I sent it to Helen.
Yeah, there you
Sherry
go.
loved it. And Beth loved it. So, and, you know, and I have 2 grandchildren now who I just idolize. And, you know, I mean, I get to see, I have lunch with Sherry a lot. We did Mikey's play all together. All of us did Mikey's play. Can I just tell you one time, when the first time we did it in New York, and I forgot my lines, speaking of getting older. And I said to Beth, Beth is down in front of me planting flowers. This is part of the play. And I go, I'm Southern. I go, I just don't know what to say to you. And I could see her little back. She just sits up like this. And then she turns and looks at me, terrified. And she starts walking back and forth. And she says, I think you were going to tell me about the telephone call. And I go, I had a telephone call. Well, Mikey and Grant was directing this, Mikey had written it. They're in the audience terrified that I wasn't going to pull it off, and she wasn't. But it worked, and we did it. And then the 5 of us went down to, where did we do that, Mikey? Maryland?
Manhattan Repertory Theater in New York.
Yeah. No. But where did we go after that?
Well, we went to Maryland.
Maryland.
At the Ella Fitzgerald Theater in Princess Anne, Maryland.
You know, we get to continue with this, and then I knew my lines very, very well. But it was. I still think of it, and I still think of Beth's little back sitting up, and the look she gave me of, oh God, what do you mean you don't know what to say to me?
Yep. Houston, we have a problem.
My favorite Tina story is when we were shooting whatever scene it was. Tina, you had that line that for whatever reason you just kind of couldn't get quite the line. And Bruce
Well, I
kept
did that a
coming.
lot, Beth. It's okay.
Well, this particular one, Bruce kept coming over the intercom and saying, Tina, no, that wasn't right. Let's do it again. We do it again. It was the same. And finally, whatever it was, the last time you said your line, it still wasn't quite what he was looking for, but you said, and I know I didn't get it right, but I think it's just fine. And then there's a long pause, and then you hear Bruce saying, okay, moving on. Yes.
Can I tell a real quick story? Beth called me up on a Friday, because usually we get our scripts on Saturday morning, and I get a call from Beth, and you know, we never had stories that were romantically involved, and Beth called me and goes, Mikey, did you see the script for Monday? I said, no. She goes, I gotta kiss you. We gotta do a love scene together. And did you look at it? I mean, it's not just like a cute, sweet love scene. It's a really intense love scene. And but Beth is like a sister to me. And so we looked at it, we're horrified going, how the hell do we, get through this thing? And so they always do anyway, we somehow got through it. And I mean, Beth, tell the story about the whole with you. Your
Well,
legs up in
actually,
there.
you remember that first love scene? That was Bruce again.
Yeah.
I had the sheets pulled up like this.
She had the sheets pulled over by her throat, and it was the post lovemaking cuddle, and she was like here, and I was like this, and I couldn't see her face, and I was like, that was so nice, wasn't it? So nice, and wasn't that beautiful? And then Bruce Berry stopped everything because I couldn't see Beth's face, and Bruce goes, all right, cut. Beth, he's not Jeffrey Dahmer. Don't make the faces. She was like, oh. Oh. Oh.
That's so good.
Tell me
There you
about
go. I lost it.
Mikey.
Could I just say one other thing, Ellen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beth and I have been doing Venice, the series, and Beacon Hill, the series I'm doing too. A lot of guiding light people.
With Crystal Chappelle.
Yes, with Crystal. Right. I just wanted to add that's really been wonderful.
Yeah. Good. We're gonna have Crystal on in about 2 weeks.
I'm good.
What were you gonna say?
I I was very fortunate to shoot something just before all of this happened, literally the week before. And I was working with Frank Grillo.
Wow.
Oh, great.
So that was fun, to see.
Can you say what it was?
To see him was
hear me.
fun. We had a fun.
Ivana wants to know what it was. What you were shooting with Frank.
Oh, Billions.
Billions.
Okay.
Oh, great. That starts
How
soon.
was he, Beth?
What?
How
He's doing
was
really
Frank?
well.
Yeah.
He's doing really well. His kids are doing well. His older son is now into making documentaries, and so
Wow.
so he's doing
that's hard to
well.
believe.
Yeah,
Remy,
Yeah.
Remy, right?
Remy, yeah, he's like 17, 18. I mean, he's old. His
I
I forgot how old exactly.
He was born. Mm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. That's crazy.
Crazy.
Ivana, what were you going to ask Mikey?
Well, I was going to ask Mikey to talk about our beautiful love scene in the cabin.
So Vonnie and I have this love scene in the cabin, and they have candles lit throughout the whole thing, and she had just started. I mean, I think you were on the show for like 4 or 5 days, and we were in the sack. Actually, we were on the floor, right? I think we're on the floor.
I think we were on the floor, but I was 6-7 months pregnant for real in real life, so it had. Yeah.
So they had these ducks on the mantelpiece with candles in them, and they lit all these ducks with the candles and so forth. And so it was again post love making, and I was like, just rubbing her hair, and she's looking up at me, and I go, so how are you? She goes, your ducks are on fire. And I didn't know behind me all the candles were on fire. The ducks were actually on fire. And I was like, you can call it whatever you want, baby. You can call it a duck, you can call it a swan.
And in the meantime, the duck's bill was literally on fire. Like
Everything was on fire.
On fire.
And you're pregnant.
She was pregnant.
And you're pregnant.
I was pregnant. So I always had the sheets up to here too, Beth.
And I was 40 pounds overweight, so it was really sexy. So
That's so funny. Robin said, my 4th of July has never been the same without the Bauer barbecue.
Aww.
What are some great Bauer barbecue stories? There've got to be a few of those
well,
over the years.
one of the things that we always had a jacuzzi back there, and then we had a bunch of high school kids back there that we didn't know. Brent would always say, "Who are these people?" So, but it was the show that the audience got a chance to see everybody in the cast, and they were generally very well written shows, and they were, they were my favorite, and I think the most highly rated. I think people tuned in because they knew they were going to see everybody on the show.
Of course, now from our perspective, the very best thing about the day that we would be doing the Bauer Barbecue is just to watch and wait to see when Peter Simon would explode when they made him put the chef hat on at the grill. For some reason, he absolutely hated to wear that hat.
Yeah.
It was like Belushi doing the Bees sketch on SNL. He just hated it. And we would just wait to see them come out from wardrobe and make him put that hat on. Watch him just explode.
Didn't they make you wear the Speedos for a while there, buddy?
I think we all did our time in the Speedos, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you ever have to wear a Speedo?
No, I refused. I wore the regular.
Okay,
They always had us standing in these gratuitous shots where you would be standing sideways. They would take this, that you were an Adonis, man. I had no business wearing a Speedo.
And moving
Guys, a text just popped up on my computer from Kim Zimmer and said, "Just tell them all I freaking love them all."
Love you too, Kim.
It just popped up on my screen. Was Chez Philippe open for that?
Oh yeah, I mean, those were typically the great thing about doing the big event shows was that somebody would be carrying the ball. There'd be like one or two story threads. And those people had to work hard, but everybody else was just window dressing. So if you were lucky and you didn't have much to do, it was just, you just tried not to be too much of a problem for the director.
I'm sure some people were. What memories do you have? A lot of questions have come up about Chris Burnell, Beverly McKinsey, Marge.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about the Hall of Fame there.
Sharita as well.
Great way to put it, Grant.
Yeah.
I have a real quick Sharita story. I think I was on the show for maybe a couple weeks, and it was Quentin Nola's wedding. I think we shot that in Pennsylvania. Grant, were you part of that?
I was on the show, but I was not involved in it. Yeah, I remember when it happened.
But anyway, I was new and I was keeping my boxes. I was really nervous, and I saw Sharita sitting in the front pew of this church that we were shooting in, and she looked back and she goes, "Come here." So I walked over, and here's this icon, and I sat next to her, and she said to me, she goes, "From here, this point on, you're my grandson, and I'm going to take care of you. If you need anything at all, you come to me, and I'll take care of it for you." And that was my first meeting with Sharita. And as Grant said, we looked up to all of these people because they were leaders. They were leaders on the set, and we got a chance to work with the best there was.
Yeah, they were old school. I mean, they were they were all mostly theater trained actors that had come up the hard way, and there wasn't a lot of messing around. I mean, we've been talking about other things. That makes it sound like we were partying all the time. We really weren't. That was just a small fraction of the time. Most of the time, you didn't want to be the person with egg on your face or the person that held up a scene or made you do another take when you were in a scene with Sharita or with Chris or with Beverly or with any number of these folks that were just, to us, they were like gods. And they taught us so much every time that we worked with them. And one of the fun things was as we got to be old and there would be, the new generation of youngsters on the show, you would realize that you'd be passing along some of the same stuff that they taught you, which was really pretty great.
I think Beverly would come in the morning. She'd have her makeup. She'd be ready. Everybody else would come in and get their hair and makeup done. She came in early so that her hair was done, her makeup was done. She never held anybody up. And I remember one time she said, somebody was complaining about a line. She said, "You just figure out a way to say a line. You don't go and complain about it. You just say it. And you work it out." And she always did.
Although Bev had some of the best all-time criticisms of bad scripts. Do you remember when Bev came in one day and it was a particularly lousy script, and Let me see. How can I clean this up?
We'll just do it.
She said, I could eat a breakdown and a better script than this.
Beverly did?
But she was. I mean, Bev, she could say almost everything as writ, which was amazing. It was amazing.
And Michael
Marsh.
Zaslow too. Michael Zaslow.
Yeah, Michael Zaslow as well. We got a lot of questions. Yeah, about Michael as well.
Yeah.
Michael one time said to me, I hadn't talked to him because we never really worked much together, but I walked into the makeup room and he said, I dreamt about you last night. His feelings toward me changed immensely from that moment on.
It was a good dream.
Yeah, obviously. He was wonderful.
Becca said, always loved Rick and Philip's friendship. What do you think it was that, people truly, I mean, the two of you were almost more than a love couple. I mean, your friendship means so much to so many people over the years.
Yeah. Well, it really was. Yeah, I looked like to Grant like a brother immediately, and he looked out for It's interesting because I'm older than Grant, but I looked up at Grant and sort of followed his lead, and the thing that hit it off right away is that we laughed immediately, and that was a big part of it. We just had fun.
Yeah, we did, and they wrote us great stuff to do. So it was kind of like, one thing building on the next. We had beautiful stories to do from very early on. When you come onto a show, you don't, particularly when you're young, you don't know because you have no experience to relate it to. But we were so lucky that we got these characters that were integral to, the whole fabric of the show and the town. And so we were always getting great stories to do, and it gave us a chance to keep building on the relationship that that we had naturally as friends, and that they wrote.
And even though they slept with all my wives, all the characters, all the audience cared about is that we were friends again. That's they didn't care.
I was really just looking out for you.
I know you were. Hey Rick, I'm coming over to borrow the vacuum cleaner. Yeah, you're always scamming. It was fun.
That's so funny. Ivana, your relationship with Cyrus, do you know who thought of that for the show?
Yes, you did, Ellen.
No, me and Jill Laurie. Jill texted me today.
Oh.
She was like, yeah. Do you ever talk to Murray?
I haven't talked to him in a while, but that was such a super fun relationship for me to play, because I think, just being so serious all the time and so, all about work, it was really fun to get into, the like silly, young, in love, like don't know what to say, comedic part of Mel. Like I thought that relationship was really fun in that way, and really playing that chemistry up, and just like all of the funny things that happened between us. And she's, Mel was not trying to be funny, but just ended up being hilarious, and really the only time I got to play comedy like that. So it was so much fun.
You've all had so many storylines over the years. What are some highlights for you? Are there some, even of some other actors on the show that you wish were yours, or some of the ones that you had to do that you wish were not yours? Are you going to hide, Mr. Alexander? Come on, someone take that away. I mean, there's been some amazing, it's the reason all these people are watching us today, because of all the stories that have been told over the years. So some great ones.
I think the Rick, Philip, Mindy, Beth storyline in the very beginning was pretty magical, and doing the stuff in Central Park and what's that?
Bradley.
Yeah, having Bradley stalk us in Central Park. It was just a beautifully written story between two. We were the young couple, and the four of us were the young people on the show at the time, and that story ran for about 2.5 years, and it was really great. It was beautifully written.
And there were great lines like
Krista says hello to everybody. I spoke to her earlier. She's going to do one of these in a couple weeks as well. But she says hello to everybody. Tina, your breast cancer story.
Well, yeah, but I was just going to say there was a great line. Grant's favorite line was blue skies and Palomino ponies. He hated to say that. And then the other one was when Bradley would come and he'd say, "Shut up, Lillian, it's your fault, get me a beer." And we'd all, whenever we see each other, we'd always quote, we'd say those things, even now, to each other.
Yeah, talk about another incredible actor, Jim Rebhorn, that we lost a few years back. Jim came in and played this character that couldn't have been any more different than who he was as a person. He just played this great scum of the earth character. He was wonderful.
He was. And he hated it. I mean, hated doing that.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He really was.
Get that look on his face.
Any other stories? What'd you say?
No, Jim he'd come in and he'd get that kind of shit-eating grin on his face when he was doing one of the real slimy Bradley things. Yeah, Spalding. Yeah.
Spalding punks are all the same.
Yeah, you've been eating out of the honey jar your whole life, haven't you, Spalding? And you get that look on his face. It was just wonderful.
What do you miss most?
These people.
Yeah.
Yeah, past for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, Alan,
you really miss the people. I have to tell you, I was checking up on Locke Wallace yesterday. I had been having a little trouble getting through to him. And Locke, for anybody listening that doesn't know, Locke was our stage manager for so many years and had this incredible career in the early days of TV before he came to us at Guiding Light. And he was never been a stage manager like Locke. He ran a floor like nobody and never had a bad word to say to anybody. Always nothing but positivity and a smile on his face and always ready to go. Just a prince of a guy and a wonderful, wonderful professional. And we've all stayed in touch over the years. So he'd been having a little bit of difficulty lately, just turned 90 and had some health issues and stuff. So been trying to get in touch with him, and yesterday I finally did. Had a great talk to him for like 45 minutes, and he was great, and just talking about the old days and how much fun we used to have, and talking about all of these folks here and a bunch of other folks too. And it just it made me feel good to know that he was doing okay. I just wanted to pass that along for anybody who might be listening.
That's good to know.
That's great.
I also think
Beth.
the hair and makeup people, you miss them. I mean, you miss the cast, but you miss the hair and makeup, right, Ivana?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those people became really good friends, and the wardrobe people, and
So I
and
have
the
to,
writers, our Jill Laurie Hurst, our writers, they were
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, not just
So,
the cast,
I
but-
want to say too, this was like a couple of years ago, but I worked on Power. I had the smallest thing ever to do. But in any case, Linda Williams' daughter, Cheyenne, if you remember her,
Yeah.
she was the hair person on Power.
Oh, wow.
So she did my hair. Linda had retired then, but she occasionally came in for extra work to do the extras. And she was there that day. Kurt McKinney played my husband, and Allison was there doing wardrobe. It was like, I know everybody on this show. I want to be
Wow.
on this show all the time. It was like,
Wow.
it made me really miss it. But it was just for those of you that remember Cheyenne, that here she is all grown up and now she's doing my hair was really something.
Last week, the actors who were on were talking about the makeup and hair team and how many secrets they all have because you guys spent so much time sharing your
They
lives
knew
with
everything.
them.
Good, yeah.
We were lucky because we had one of those shows, and you would have this verified by people that worked on, that would do guest spots or day players on all the different shows around. That we had a show where we were really one big company. We had our rough spots, and we would have people from time to time, that just didn't really fit in on the show. But we didn't we didn't have a real hierarchy like you would find on other shows. There wasn't a lot of attitude between the people that were working all the time, or maybe making the most money, or somebody that was sweeping up the floor. You know, YP. You know, first person I would say hi to in the morning was YP, and he was
YP.
YP. You know, kept the place clean. And one of my favorite stories I ever had was I had a scene where Philip was in the jail. And when you go to jail, they take all your jewelry. Well, I've worn this ring. It's like it's more special to me than my wedding ring. It's the first ring that Sherry gave me. Well, let's see, just after man began walking upright. So about 40 years ago, and I had to take them off. And somehow or another, it had gotten lost. And I was really upset about it. But I figured there's nothing I could do. I looked all over. Everybody tried to look all over after we had finished doing the scenes, and they couldn't find it. So anyway, the next day I came in, and I'm in the dressing room, and all of a sudden I see YP, his head turned the corner with a big smile on his face, and on his finger he was holding my ring. He said, I found it. I sweeping up. I found it in the dust when I was sweeping up. He was as excited as I was. It was really great.
That's amazing. Tina, somebody said the Tina, Ed, and Maureen was an amazing triangle with you and Ed and Maureen.
Yeah.
You still talk, you keep in touch with Ellen, right?
I keep in touch with Peter Simon.
Peter, okay.
Yeah, a lot. I haven't talked to Ellen. I talked to Maeve, Vanessa, a lot, and she talks to Ellen. So I sort of keep in touch with her that way. But I remember when I had to write the letter that she was gonna read to find out that Ed and I had had an affair, and then I knew she was going to get in the car and go off the precipice and die, and I couldn't write the letter. And I heard that Lincoln, when they were doing the documentary about Lincoln, the man who had to put the shot in that was going to kill Lincoln couldn't put the shot in, and I would sit at the desk to write that letter to Ed. And I couldn't write it. I got up and I felt sick to my stomach because I knew it was going to be the end of that character. And, you know, it was going to be a really tragic time. And it was. But I liked it in the end. And I think this was my idea. I said, and I think I went to Jill and I said, can I go to Maureen's grave? Because we've got to finish that story. And she said yes and wrote it. And I went, although I'm not sure she wrote it. Somebody wrote it. It was wonderful.
Are there other, like, you just mentioned Peter Simon. Do you guys talk to anybody else that fans would be happy to hear, you know, if there's somebody you've seen recently or?
Well,
you know, Ivana and Beth, you see each other, right? You live near each other, don't you?
Orla, I speak to periodically, shared an email with her just recently as well. Kurt McKinney, as I said, I'll speak to periodically. And all of these people, obviously.
I would have loved to have seen Orla's play playing Nancy Pelosi.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
I bet she was amazing.
Yes.
Oh, sure. She was amazing in everything she does.
Yeah.
I try to go see everything she does. A friend of mine down in Florida who lives right next to me is the godmother of Nancy Pelosi's children, and she's Nancy's god. You know, they're really close friends. So I had her get Nancy in touch with Orla. Just to show you I can do things. Grant always tells me I know everybody.
Oh, she does. She does. She saved us a number of times.
yeah.
Doctor,
That's great.
Call Tina.
Yeah.
So I have an interesting question. So what was your biggest who was your biggest influence, or what was your biggest influence on this career path that you chose?
All of us?
Yeah.
Wow.
Money?
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Well, I think it's probably true, wasn't it? And,
Yeah.
I mean, we all, you know, were starting out, and so you got involved in soap operas. If you're talking about soap opera, is that what you're talking about?
Well, acting in general. I mean, was there an actor that, you or you just did it from a young age? I was just curious if there was,
I
something
think
that
for
drove
me, strangely, I think the reason why I ended up actually being an actor was I'd been a dancer, and then I stopped dancing, and I was waiting tables, and we were all sitting around talking about how we were actors. And someone that was there, a guy said, "No, you're not. You're not doing anything to be actors. So you're not actors. Don't say you're actors," and you're not. And I sat there and thought, he's right. You know what? So you're either going to do it, or you're going to stop saying that this is what you are. And, you know, that comment, it was painful to me, but it was correct. And I sort of look at it and say, I'm really thankful he said that, because it made me get going and start, and not being afraid to take that step out there and start getting an agent. You know, yeah, I was taking acting classes, but I wasn't doing much more with it. So I'm sort of thankful for that painful moment.
It is sometimes the painful moments that push us further anyway, you know, in some respects. Grant and Mikey, I mean, you guys started on the show so young, both of you.
Right.
Kids.
Well, I think I decided to become an actor when it was just for fun for me when I got my first residual check for Excedrin commercial, and I thought how much money I was making compared to wrapping burritos. That was like an easy decision for me. But for me, the decision was when I saw Stella Adler come to Los Angeles. She did a script interpretation of Tennessee Williams' Glass Menagerie. And I thought, here's this woman. She had to be almost 80 at the time. And I go, wow. I was really inspired. And that's when I kind of, this is just fun. I'm making money, to this is something I want to do.
And now you're teaching others.
Yeah. And now I'm working with, you know, I got a student just signed up with me in Ohio. He's 9 years old. And I got a gentleman who's just retired at 75. He just did an episode of City on the Hill recently. So, you know, what I really love is taking actors and guiding them on a career path. And it's not something, it's just sort of came to me. And I thought, well, I really love the process of, you know, we've all done this business for a long time. We've all made mistakes. And now I enjoy showing actors not to make the mistakes I made.
Ivana, Grant?
Beauty before age.
You know, for me, I remember I was modeling at first. I had moved from California to New York at 18, and I was modeling for a good 6 years. And I was like, I felt like it was killing me. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. It was great money, but it wasn't, it just wasn't fulfilling me. And then I had a couple auditions when they were like looking for models to, you know, to act in certain things. And so it kind of piqued my interest. And then it really was just a moment where I was like, I could see myself doing it. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I did. I kept saying it. I kept telling everybody around me, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I felt like I sort of created it before I even, unlike Beth, I kept saying it until I took steps to make it happen. And then my first job was Days of Our Lives. So I went to Los Angeles and started on that show. So yeah, that's how I started.
And then we got lucky when you came to Springfield.
I got lucky. I got very lucky. I mean, no disparaging remarks towards any cast, but this Guiding Light cast was just a dream to work with compared to what I worked with.
And Grant?
You know, I started acting some in high school, just the way you do for fun, and it got serious about it in college. And I transferred from the school where I was in Virginia up to NYU School of the Arts. And I don't know. I kind of thought it would work out. You know, when you're young, it's great being young and stupid, because, you know, you're really not afraid. And I had a great support structure. You know, my parents were both very supportive. They were like, get your degree, you know, so that you've got something to fall back on, but we support you in doing this. And my mom always loved the arts, so she was very supportive of it. And then I got really lucky. You know, I got an agent and I started working, and then I got the, you know, the Guiding Light gig. I had a very, very charmed path with all of it, for which I'm still very grateful.
That's great. Hey, Tina, before I forget, Jill sent a note that David Brandon wrote the Maureen at
That's
the
right.
grave scene.
I was thinking,
so good job, David. Good job, David.
thank you, David.
Some fans were, yeah.
No, I just
Go ahead.
want to, you know, you say what is it about the best experience I've had in the last 11 years? Sometimes you get the best experience when you're going through the most difficult time. And 4 or 5 years ago, when I was going through my difficult time, I wrote this little play, and I asked my buddy, every one of them are on this screen right here. And I asked for, yeah, can you help me out? And I needed a win. And every one of these people said yes to me. And that got me through my difficult time. So that's the cast we have. And they did it on their own time, their own expense, to do this play in New York because they knew I needed that help. And that's what we have on this cast to this day. We're still friends. They showed up for me, and I'll never forget it.
And the play's great. It's called Breathing Dirt. Everybody, there a lot of people were asking. Somebody from Macon, Georgia was asking, you know, for it to come to Georgia. Other people were asking for it to be shot to be seen on the web. So a lot of interest in Breathing Dirt, Mikey. So keep
Breathing
keep it
under.
going.
Breathing under dirt.
Bud.
Under Dirt. Sorry. Thank you.
Which, by the way, I have to jump in with that and just say that this play is brilliant.
Brilliant.
I mean, absolutely brilliant.
Eugene
This
O'Neill.
man is an extremely talented writer, and I mean, I can't say enough about this play. And thank you, Michael, for even, you know, letting us breathe words into this play, because it was an honor. So thank you.
Oh, Bonnie, thank you for doing that. Was so much fun going down to Maryland and doing that.
And your voice, when you sang, I just thought, is there nothing she can't do?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Thank you. And thank you for that opportunity, because I sort of like hid that. I mean, I put that away, that like the singing voice. I'm like, oh, I can't really sing. So but then Michael called. He's like, so I want you to sing in the play. And I'm like, sing? Oh my God, I don't know. He's like, you sing, right? I'm like, I don't know. I can't. I mean, I haven't. And that is another thing that I feel, you know, you connected me back to that. So thank you for that too.
Oh.
I got more confidence in that area.
Well,
Great.
everybody be on the lookout for the play.
Well, here we are 4 years later. I'm still working on it. You know, the plays, you know, it's just a process. You know, people say, what's like writing a play? I say it's like cutting a redwood tree down with a butter knife. It just takes time. But, you know, like with Grant, you know, we went down to Maryland and we had 3 days to rehearse this play. Grant produced, directed, started this play, and he did it in 3 days. But where else can we do this other than people who are in a soap opera that know each other? Yeah. And I don't know how you did it.
Well, because you guys were all great, and because we all worked in a medium that you've got to be good fast. You know, I mean, it's if it weren't the group of people that we had, I don't think there's any way that it would have come off, because we're all just used to being under the gun and doing the best work we can as quickly as possible. You know, you guys are great.
So speaking of being under the gun and Beth's Tina story about forgetting the line, we got a lot of questions about, especially I know Grant and Michael have a relationship of working together on set, but there's got to be a lot of improv at times where something doesn't go right. Fans were asking, any, you know, besides the story you were talking about, Breathing Under Dirt, are there Guiding Light stories of having to improv because somebody forgot?
Yes. You'd be furious at somebody and you'd be slamming out the door. I did this with Peter Simon, and I walked into the closet. I mean, and I pretended I stayed in there thinking, you know, it will work, but it didn't. And we'd have notes on those big words all over Mikey and I, all over the set. You know, the words.
Oh, you mean the nurse's words, doctor's words?
Doctor's
words. Medical
because,
terminology, sorry.
Yeah,
medical terminology, yeah.
That's too big a word for me. But those, we had plenty of those things. And Beth was such a naughty person of it. And I'm not even going to get into some of the things we did, but it was so fun. It was so much fun. And I think you trust each other, and you know if someone's having a problem and you can fix it right away. You just know if Grant's doing something. I remember when Beth came back. Remember, she came back as not herself. She came back as another person, but looked exactly
Lorelai?
the same.
Is it
Yeah,
Lorelai?
Lorelai. She came back as Lorelai. And Grant and I were in his study, and she walks in, and we couldn't look at each other because we weren't supposed to know who she was. And we'd look at each other, and Grant said, "Doesn't she remind you of someone?" And I'm just on the floor. You know, we could trigger each other, and he knew he had me on that line. And she sure did remind me of someone. I remember going to the writers and saying, "Look, she's my daughter. She has the mole right on her chest where she had it last time. How can I not know her?" And they said, "You just don't." Remember that?
And 5, 4.
And on that,
I think
guys, thank you so much. Oh no, go on, Ivana.
Thank you,
Go.
Alan.
No, I was just gonna say, I think the question is like we had so many moments where we were just saying whatever it was off the top of our head because it went by so fast. I actually thought that's how everyone works. You know what I mean? Like I would go to different sets and just sort of say, a resemblance of what I was supposed to say, and they were like, no, the line is, and I'm like,
Especially Law and Order SVU.
you have to
I got
say
in so much trouble.
exactly what that you can't add anything in, and I was like, oh, I thought that we do this all the time. We just get the gist of it, and maybe even say something wrong, but like, no.
All 3 ladies appeared on SVU, correct?
I was a madam in a whorehouse.
Yeah, Beth, you were on too.
Beth was in the whorehouse.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
Just because I know you're bringing us to a close here, I just wanted to say for anybody listening, and you guys have probably all seen this, but for anybody who hasn't checked out this season of Ozark with Tom Pelphrey.
Yeah, Tom Pelphrey is great.
I was
Oh,
texting
is
with him
he?
yesterday. I mean, this is one of the most brilliant things I've seen anybody do in a very long time, and
Fabulous.
he's
I almost was gonna-
absolutely unbelievable in this thing.
We are about 2 episodes in, but a lot of people have asked that, and I was going to get there. Kim said she had texted him and said if this was a movie, he'd be up for an Academy Award.
Oh, no question about it. If he doesn't get an Emmy, I don't know what the categories for Emmys are with all this stuff, and I mean, awards are what they are. But no question, if this were a film, and if it got the proper buzz and the proper pushing and all that stuff, he'd be up and win an Oscar this year. I mean, it is just absolutely brilliant.
Oh, I hope to finish it this weekend. I hear I don't know what it is, but I hear the end scene is something that's just like people are blown away.
There's a good twist at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, people are blown away at the end.
I'm gonna watch.
Well, guys, for me, this is a joy to see all your faces, and I can't thank you enough for doing
you,
this.
Alan.
Thanks
you
for
having
thinking
me.
of
Thank you,
it,
Alan.
Alan.
Thank you
Yeah.
for being together.
Everybody, stay well. We'll
Thank
we'll
you.
try and do this again.
Yes.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Be well.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Next week, don't miss, we have General Hospital and Guiding Light folks, Daniel Cosgrove, Emmy Ryland, Cynthia Watros, Laura Wright, and Wes Ramsey. Thanks, everybody. Bye.